Hello, crafting friends. I'm Dorene Decibus from It Begins with Ink and Paper, and welcome to Funfold Friday. I am so excited. It's finally spring. Isn't that wonderful? I love the winter leaving and spring coming into the air. This week it's been a wonderful week for some warm days, and though today it was pretty windy and a little bit chilly, but that's okay with me as long as it keeps getting a little bit better every day. That's what I'm hoping for. Well, anyway, we're going to make a little bit of a spring card tonight, an Easter card, and I'm going to use the photopolymer stamp set Storybook Friends. So it has 17 stamps in it, 6 sediments, and then all these wonderful photopolymer images that you can stamp. It also comes with dies, and I have to tell you, I love the dies. I'm not going to use them tonight, but they have these gorgeous frames, and I just love them. And I'll be showing you some cards later on with these frames, not tonight's video, but later on my Facebook page. So that is something that is so nice about this bundle. Okay, let's get started. So I am making for you tonight, let me just put this away for right now. I am making for you a card that is called a Screen Fancy Funfold card. And so let me show you what it looks like, though I'm going to make it a little different. I'll show you how as I'm making it. But this is what our card looks like. So the front just looks like a regular, ordinary card. But cute, but nothing different. The Funfold is on the inside for that fancy screen. So this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like when I am displaying it, and you can see we've got 8 different little panels here. We've got a little fun flap there, but this mechanism here, if we look at it from the inside, and these flaps can fold down, so the inside looks different each time you move those flaps. But this screen mechanism that's in the center of the card is what makes the Funfold. Hi, Lynn. Thank you for joining tonight. So let's get started on how we're going to make this. All right. We are going to need a lot of paper. I've got all these little die cuts from the Designer Series paper. We've got basic white paper. We've got our Lost Lagoon paper. So I'm going to start with just the Lost Lagoon because that's what we're going to score. So I have a piece here that measures 5.5 by 8.5. And then I have a piece here that measures 3 by 8. This is going to be our mechanism. And then the other 2 parts of the mechanism are going to be this, and it measures 2.5 by 3, and I'm going to score both of these. So let's get our scoreboard out so we can do that. All right, so here's my scoring tool, and let's get this out. Okay, so let's start with the 5.5 by 8.5. This is the easy one. We're just going to score it like you would for a regular card at 4 1/4. So there we go for that. That is all set. Both of these we're going to score at a 1/2 inch. So this is 2.5. So to make it easier, instead of trying to go in here and score, I'm going to score it at 2. So we'll score that one at 2, and then we'll score this one at 2 as well. So it just gives us a 1/2 inch on that. And then this one, which is our 3 by 8, is really easy to score and easy to remember. We're scoring at 2, 4, and 6. So that gives us 4 2-inch panels. And that is all the scoring we have to do for tonight's Funfold. All right, so I'm going to leave that aside for a minute. And then I'm going to just do some mounting of paper to just get that over, because we have a lot of cardstock. So I have 8 pieces of basic white cardstock that measure 2 3/4 by 1 3/4. And then I have 3 pieces, and you might end up wanting to have 4 by the time this card is over, and I'll show you why. But this piece measures, let's see, 5 1/4 by 4, so just our regular, what we put inside a card. And then I have some, a 1/2 inch wide scrap. And I have I'm using 2 different designs of Designer Series paper tonight. They both come from the Storybook Moments Designer Series paper. I'll show you that in just a second, but I have 4 of each, and these measure 2 5/8 by 1 5/8. Okay, so I'll put those aside. And then I have 3 pieces of Designer Series paper that I'm going to be using inside and outside of the card. And it measures 5 1/4 by 4. No, wrong one, excuse me. 5 1/8 by 3 7/8 of a piece. So, all right, so what we're going to do is just start doing some mounting, and then I'm going to do some stamping before we put all of this together. So let me grab my Stampin' Seal. So I'm just going to put adhesive on the back of this. Now, because of the way I was decorating this, I didn't want to have, I wanted to have solid designs, because I'm going to stamp on some of these, and I'm also going to be putting images on it. So I didn't want to have like this back side of the paper that has, you know, different images on it. So that is why I chose the paper I did. And you know, if I just used my mat like any smart stamper would do, I wouldn't keep getting adhesive all over my glass. And I set it out so I would use it, and then here I am not using it. This is great. Adhesive won't really stick on it, so it just saves your paper that you might use underneath and your paper or your glass mat from getting a whole bunch of adhesive on it. Hi Bonnie, thanks for joining tonight. I have to say I do like this side of the paper. It's just so cute. Let me just turn it the right way for you to see it. I just love all the little images on it. But I also like the other side. So I am going to be using the seal tonight and liquid adhesive. So I'll be using both. Okay, so let's just start mounting these pieces of paper. And I'm just going to set them aside after they're mounted. We were down in Boston today, and oh my goodness, it was so incredibly windy. I couldn't get over it. At the place we had parked the car, I was getting into it to drive home, and I kept trying to open my door, and the wind kept blowing it shut. I just didn't want to cooperate. Okay, we're almost done with this. I had thought about doing this ahead of time, but I just decided not to. Now, you certainly, based on the type of designer series paper you're using, you could cut the designer series paper the size of the white and not have a layer under it. Those of you who know me well or have watched me a while, you know how much I love layers. So it is not unlike me to have lots of layers on a card. So that is just how I am. All right, now I'm going to actually decorate and stamp all of these before I put them on the card. So if you take a look, and I'm going to probably be changing this up a little bit, these are the die cuts that come in the package of designer series paper. So I took some of the die cuts and I put them on the different panels. I stamped Happy Spring here, added more die cuts. I stamped Easter greetings here, and then added another die cut, added a die cut, and then stamped Somebody Loves You. So I'm going to start and work kind of my way backwards. So this one is just going to get Somebody Loves You, and I am stamping it in the Memento Black ink. So we'll ink that up, and I'm just going to stamp this in the middle. There we go, and I can set that one aside. The other one that I stamped was a blue one, and I stamped Happy Spring across the top. And we'll decorate that afterwards. And then I haven't decided if I want to do this the same way. I decided to stamp Easter greetings after I had put everything in, and then I wasn't able to then stamp on the card itself, but I think I like having it. So this Easter greetings fits perfectly on a 1/2 inch piece of cardstock. So I am going to just take out my snips, and I am going to just cut this a straight side on that side, and then here I'm just going to snip in on the center, and I am just going to make this little banner. Get those pieces off so that it looks like this. And then what I can do is add some Stampin' Seal, and then on another one of these blue ones, I gotta cut it just a little more. That should fit now. I'm going to have this come right across. This, but I think I'll make it straight. I think that will make it nicer if it's actually straight across. There we go. So I'm just having a little Easter greetings on this particular panel. So that one is all set, so we'll set that aside. Now I'm going to just decorate. So I'm going to have 2 panels face each other like this. So if I'm going to be using these little guys, and I've got some different ones here, I want them, some of them are going to be looking at each other. So I want them to be able to look in the right direction. So let me just see what we have here. I think I did this little guy here, and this one right here, so they're looking at each other. And I'm just going to trim this just a little bit. Hi Barbara, how are you today? Are you feeling any better? I have something coming your way, so just wait for it. So I just trimmed some of the bushiness off of his tail, and I'm going to trim a little bit of the extra from the flower here, just to help her fit on the page nicely. There we go. That's perfect. So again, just so I can have a little bit of movement on this one, I'm going to use just a little bit of liquid adhesive because it will just give me a little bit of wiggle room. Hi Joyce, thanks for joining tonight. Okay, there we go. And like I said, we want these two to be looking at each other. And I think I want my little duck to maybe have some leaves that it might be munching on. There. Yeah, I think that looks good. So we'll add. So this card is not at all hard to make, but it is time consuming with all of the layers that I'm putting on. So again, you don't necessarily have to use every layer that I'm using, and you certainly could decorate the inside of this a little bit different. So there, I put his little beak near that piece of greenery, so it looks like he's having a little bit of a snack. Thanks, Lisa. They are really cute. I'm going to show you the designer series paper in a minute. So those are going to go side by side, so I'm going to put those aside. And now let's see which ones are next. So we have the ones in the middle that are going to be side by side. And I just kept alternating these two patterns of paper. So we have our Easter greetings right here. And I had some florals here. But I think I might, let me just see what I want. I just want to make this one a little bit different. So I'm just looking at all of my little options. I have some of this going on the front. I don't want to use that. So let's just put some smaller flowers here. I had some really big ones on the other card. I'll show you. I had these larger flowers. I think I want to go with the smaller and more subtle flowers. So let me just add a little bit of liquid glue. And then we'll just stick this underneath. I think these flowers match the color scheme I'm using a little better. There we go. So I'll just bring this a little closer. I am going to use the fence, but I'm going to use that on the front of the card. Okay, so I'm going to put those aside, and we just have two more left. And these are the two that go on those panels that I'm going to be adding. So and one of them is the Happy Spring. Here it is. Okay, So this is going to be this. And then which one am I missing? Got that one. Oh, the one that goes with the somebody loves me. Okay. Okay, so we have 4 left to do. All right, so on the Happy Spring, we're going to throw in some plants on this one as well. And well, I think we're going to put a plant and a butterfly on that one. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, so like I said, I just want to change this one up a little bit. So we'll put this right here, and then we'll have the butterfly. This is the reason I am using these little die cuts, because if I was stamping and die cutting all of my little images, that would take quite a bit of time. And then I am going to use a little critter. And this one's ready to get on its bicycle. Yeah, it's one of the things I'm liking about some of our new designer series paper that's coming out. And I know it's because we are adding more scrapbooking products to our, to our offerings. And by adding all of those products, we're able to we're changing up the designer series paper a little bit. So many of our designer series paper now come with sticker sheets well, not sticker sheets, they're die cut sheets. They're not stickers at all. I misspoke. But they are just, I love them. They're just adorable. So this piece is matching the little saying that says some bunny loves me. So of course, we have to have a little bunny here. There we go. Okay, now all of these are ready to go. So I am just going to set them aside, and we're going to start with our card. So I am just going to grab my bone folder, give it a really nice crease. The inside of the card is going to be holding a lot of stuff. So we just want to make sure it's going to fold nicely. So the inside of this card, we'll decorate the front in just a minute, is going to have these 2 panels of white with the designer series paper. So I'm just going to add some Stampin' Seal to that. And they're going to go on each side of the inside of the card. When we're done with this card, you might wonder where we would write our greeting. And that is where you might want another piece of the basic white cardstock to go on the back of the card. Now, before I put the front of the card on and start decorating, remember I told you I was going to change this up a little bit. I don't like how this card just doesn't close. So I am going to add a real lightweight ribbon. This is the white woven ribbon, and it's just very delicate and very thin, so it's not going to add a lot of bulk. And what I'm going to want to be able to do is tie a bow around this. So I want to add this ribbon underneath all the cardstock. And I just want to make sure I have enough to tie a bow because, yeah, that's important. And then what I would do is add that piece of white paper to the back, but I wouldn't add it until I have had a chance to write on it, because I wouldn't want the ribbon beneath it and end up having that kind of mark on it. So I'm just going to put some adhesive to hold this in place. And now I can put this right over that, so it's not going to be on the front of the card. All right, so let's add this to the front of the card. And then we're going to have fun decorating the front of the card. It's going to be really, really cute. And then I'll show you how to put the mechanism together. So for the front of the card, I'm just going to fold these under. I want to have a fence going right across the whole front. And you notice it's the fence that came with it is not long enough. So I am going to cut, let's see, I'm going to cut 4 pieces off of the fence. And the fence is going to go like this across the front of the card. And then when I put my adorable little lamb female, she is going to cover up where the fence is not. So let's get some liquid glue for this. And I'm just going to put some, whoops, not like that. That was like a huge glob. So we got that off. See, that's why it's good to have this mat underneath, because that glue will just dry and I can peel it right off. Okay, let's pick this up. And I'm going to use my ribbon here to help me line it up. Okay, so there's our first part of the fence. Let's get our second part of the fence. Okay, that looks lined up pretty well. Okay, now we're going to do some decorating on the fence. So I've got these little flowers that match, almost match, it matches part of her dress. So they look like this. And we're going to put that on one side. I'm going to be putting the lamb on dimensional, so everything else is going to go on as a single layer with just some glue. So there's the flowers. And then I'm going to add some greenery. Just using this fence as my focal point. There we go. And we're going to put a butterfly on too. I'm just going to set that aside. And let's get our girl here with some dimensionals. So this set is really great for Easter, of course. That's what I'm using this for. But it's also good for if you're going to a baby shower and you need to make a baby card. There is a stamp that says "Welcome, Little One." It has a friend stamp on it in it, so it says "Hello, friend." It has a thank you, so you could use this as a thank you card. So it's very versatile. Okay, so let's add our little lady here. I'm going to use a dimensional to put the butterfly on, and then we will also afterwards put some bling on too. So here's the front of our card right now. Now let's get the mechanism for the inside done. So I am going to just fold this in half to start, because the center of my card is going to be a mountain fold. And then I'm going to do some valley folds. And I'm just going to rub my bone folder over the inside so that any mark from the paper cutter disappears. Okay, so it's going to be like this. Now for these two pieces that go on the inside, I'm going to just fold those pieces over as well. And I am going to be adding them to the inside just like this. All right, so I'm going to just add some Stampin' Seal on this. And I found when I was making this for the first time, I had it was just off a little bit, so I might have to trim since I cut these at the same time. So, it's just a tad off. So I'm just going to take that little piece right off. Okay, so we have this flap. Now we're going to put the other flap on. So we're going to just fold that as well. It is going to be going in just like the other piece did. So we'll add our Stampin' Seal. And I'm going to do this the same way. Just line up these pieces to the fold. Whoops, I'm putting it in backwards, sorry. I'm going to line the fold up to the fold. Nope, I'm going to put it a little closer. And again, then I have to trim just a little bit off. There we go. Now it's going to be all even. All right, so this is what our mechanism looks like to go into the card. So now we can do our decorating with this. So I'm going to start with this piece. And we're just going to be going back and forth with the different colors of the designer series paper. So this one I had the duck going next to it. So cute. And then we're going to fold over this. So it's now blue again. And I'm going to put my happy spring here. I think I'm going to be much happier with this card now that I'm going to be able to tie it. Okay, so we've got our happy spring. So those are 3 of the panels so far. So now we're going to do add the florals. And then we have these middle pieces. So our Easter greeting is going to be one of the other middle pieces. And then next to the Easter greetings, we're going to have our little guy on the bike. And then we have our last 2. And our last 2 are going to be the bunny and then the greeting that says somebody loves me. You could also have just plain white cardstock, just the basic white cardstock, and you could be writing little messages on all of these little panels too. So you can see that you have lots of things. So this is folded up like this. So the first 2 panels, the next 2 panels, the next 2 panels, and then our final 2 panels. Now, you can put this inside your card however you would like it. I really want mine more centered. So I'm going to make sure I have about the same at the top and the bottom, and then have about maybe 3/4 of an inch. I want room for it to be able to move. I'm going to use liquid glue on this because it just is going to make it easier. So I'm going to hold everything closed. And when I say easier, I can just, it has a little bit of give. So it's not that this glue is easier. Make sure you're putting it in the right direction. And I am going to put it right here in my card. And I'm just going to close the card and hold it down for a little bit. Let it adhere. And then I'm going to add my glue here. And we're just going to close the card down to adhere it to the other side. And I'll just hold that for a second. Well, a few seconds. Just to let it. And there we have, you can see that inside with the flaps, how you have the 2 flaps here, that as you close them, you get different views. So cute. And then, as I was saying, because I just didn't like having it bounce open like that. And this ribbon is so easy to tie a bow with. So let's just make it even. I'm going to right now leave the long tail on it, but maybe I won't. There's a lot of ribbon here. I just want to leave enough so if I write something in it, I want to have enough ribbon left to retie it. Okay, there we go. And now we just have to put some bling on it. So I am going to use these beautiful antique pearls. Of course you can copy, Barbara. That's why I'm doing this, is so to give people ideas and copy. So I'm going to put some of the small pearls up here at the top. I'm going to put the medium-sized pearl right down here. And I actually think that's enough. I put more on the other one. So here is the front of the card. I chose not to put a greeting on this card. On the front of the card, I just wanted the little scene to unfold. And this is what then the inside of the card looks like. And I know these images are a little bit different. And we have the front of this one. So that is our fun fold for today. I hope you have enjoyed this. I had so much fun making this card and playing with it. I am definitely going to be doing some other ones. I think this will be perfect for my littles to send to them with all these little images for Easter and make it a really fun one with them. So thank you so much for joining me. I will be back for, I know, I can't believe it. Is it week 3 or 4, I can't remember, whatever it is, week 3 of Simply Stamping Sunday with the beautiful butterflies set, and I'll see you again next Friday for Fun Fold Friday. Barbara, I'm going to put all of the measurements in the comments. So the measurements and the scoring lines are all going to be in the comments, and then you have the video that you can use for the instructions to make it. So thank you for joining me tonight. Have a fabulous weekend, and I'll see you Sunday night. Good night, everybody.